Hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel called Living in Hayward, Wisconsin, where we talk about all things real estate related and also just about living in Hayward. I'm Audrey Miller. I'm the broker owner of Northwest Wisconsin Realty Team, located right on Main Street in Hayward, so feel free to stop by sometime. I would love if you would share, like, subscribe to my channel if you find these things to be helpful. I've got a large array of videos out there for you to look at and enjoy and learn some things from. And right now I'm doing a series about what lakefront property can I afford in the Hayward, Wisconsin area. I do cover a little bit broader area beyond Hayward, approximately 45 minutes in any direction from Hayward, but my primary market that I work in is the Hayward and Stone Lake areas. So in this series of videos, we're focusing just on Hayward and Stone Lake, which does cover the majority of our Tier 1 and Tier 2 and Tier 3 lakes around the area. The series is set up with videos by price point. So once this series is complete, it'll be going from the under $300,000 mark up to the 2 million or 2 million plus range. So you can kind of choose the video that kind of fits the budget you're looking within and see what property you can potentially end up with. So I'm kind of diving into the details of specific properties within the category. And this is Hayward and Stone Lake. This is sales in 2025. And I'll show you pictures of properties that sold in this price range. This video specifically is in the 300 to 500 range. So we're looking at properties that sold between 300,000 and 500,000 in 2025. And this does include condo properties as well, but it's all lakefront or flowages or riverfront property. And I tried to choose ones that I actually was either involved in the sale or had shown, so I have more details about the condition and kind of the overall feel of the place versus ones that I haven't seen in person. So anyway, follow along if you're looking in this price range. This is a video that you might find really helpful as far as what you might be able to afford. So as we start looking at these properties that sold in 2025 on waterfront between the $300,000 and $500,000 range, I do want to mention this is a very fast moving category. In our lakefront property spectrum, this is on the lower end of the price point. So for those who have a little more conservative budget, these properties, there's a big group of buyers who are looking to get on water but not break the bank. And so this category of property sells really quickly. So if you're looking for something in this price range and you see something you like, you have to move very quickly on it. Quite a few of them also have multiple offers still at this stage. So very fast moving category and actually increasing in price also in terms of even from 2024 to 2025, we've gone in price. I think it's 10 to 13% year over year for these lakefront properties around the Hayward area. So the days on market for the 32 properties that sold in the $300,000 to $500,000 range in 2025 was 60 days on market. So keep in mind the average days on market in our area has crept up just over 100. So these properties in this category are selling more than a month quicker than the general home in the area. And when you say 60 days on market, that's from the time it hits the market until it closes. So most of these properties were going under contract in the first week or two. The average sale price within the 300 to 500 category was right at $396,000. So basically in the middle, which is not too surprising since we're pulling from a $200,000 range. The average square footage was 1,222 square feet. And the average acreage was 1.68 acres. A lot of times in this price range, you're on smaller lakes, so you tend to get a little more privacy and a little more acreage on smaller lakes than you do sometimes on the bigger lakes. And then I'm going to show you and talk about 7 specific properties within this category, just to give you a feel for what you may be able to find. I know they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, so I'm going to go through and kind of talk about each of these properties as I'm showing you pictures of them so you can kind of get a feel, and I'll describe them each a little bit. So we'll go through these 7 properties together. So these 7 waterfront properties that I chose to highlight, the average sale price here was $433,500. Average square footage, 1,162. So kind of smaller homes at this price point, more like a starter lake cabin, I guess I would say, for our area. And if you're interested in this statistic or piece of information, the average square foot price was $419 per square foot. Obviously that includes the land and everything. So you definitely can get more for your money when you buy something that's already built versus buying land and building, because you've got your land cost plus the cost of building, which has become pretty expensive in our area. And the vacant land is actually very tough to find. So there's more homes that are available that are already built than not. Of these 7, these are all older homes. You're not going to probably find new construction on water in this price point. So you can expect it to be something that's a little bit older, might need some updating, might be a little more updated, but as we go through these photos, you'll see most of these could use a little bit of updating. The average year of build for these 7 properties was 1965. All right, so the first one that we have to look at, I was actually the listing agent on this one. It is on Ham Holly Drive, and this was on Ham Lake, which is down by the Stone Lake area. A very nice, clean, clear, about 100-acre lake. Good size home. As you can see, it's got the chalet style with the big windows. It was just over 2,000 square feet, sitting on half an acre of land, but there was also an attached garage with a large master suite above it. Very well maintained home, beautiful, a little bit steeper down to the water, and these are all things you'll find will impact price point or how quickly it sells. Medium to high elevation, and a great outdoor patio space, nicely landscaped, a deck for grilling and that kind of thing, and nice clear water, sandy bottom once you got down to the water. And this one sold for $499,900. We did start, I believe, at $529 or $525, and as soon as we dropped the price below that $500 mark, it went under contract almost immediately. So yeah, really, really nice home, but on a small lake, obviously. The second one you're looking at here, and this is the dynamic that you'll see come into play as we go through these. This was on one of the tier 1 lakes in the area, which is 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐞𝐬. Probably everybody who watches this is maybe familiar with 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐬. If not, it's a 5,000 plus acre lake, one of the top lakes in the area, highly desirable. So this, to get on that body of water, you're going to be paying a lot for your land and not so much for the cabin that you purchase in terms of what makes up the price point. And this lot was kind of a half lot that was grandfathered in. So the frontage was only 50 feet when typically it's at least 100 feet of frontage. So that was the other thing. It was a small lot, high elevation, no garage, but this is a 4-season cabin, 672 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, built in 1970. And you can kind of see the pictures here. That ended up selling for $495,000. And honestly, you know, it was a smaller lot, but if you have access to the water, you have access to the water. Because most of the vacant lots on 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐬 recently have been selling for $600,000 to $700,000 and above just for a piece of vacant land. So the high elevation kept the price down a little and the size of the lot, but you're still on 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐬 for probably one of the most reasonable prices of the year on that particular lake. This next one, I actually worked with a buyer on this one. Such nice clients. I worked with them for a long time, and they finally found this place on Stone Lake, and they absolutely love it. Really cute little cabin, 1,168 square feet on almost 3/4 of an acre, built in 1960, but well maintained. You know, they're going to do some updates inside, but the frontage here was beautiful. Low elevation to the water, gorgeous sandy frontage, relative privacy, and this was on Little Stone, which connects to Big Stone Lake. So you can boat from Little Stone to Big Stone. Stone Lake is a super crystal clear lake. Wonderful location close to the town of Stone Lake. And the home was in good condition, just needed some interior updates over time. And this was a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. And my clients since then have put up a large garage. So now they have their garage space that they wanted, but they were able to purchase this property for $480,000. It was a multiple offer situation. My buyers came in with a really strong offer and got the winning bid, but it was a very competitive situation, and it sold in the first 2 days that it was on the market this year. All right, this next one was on LC Road, which is on Sand Lake, near the intersection of Highway 70 and Highway F, near the Stone Lake area, but on Sand Lake specifically. And this one, I showed it, so I've been in the home. It was a very rustic, quaint, older cabin, but a super like nostalgic feel with the old log, even the way that it was laid out. It had the huge fireplace, as you can see in the pictures. The layout was a little tough to work with, you know, a super tiny kitchen, you walk straight into that, but beautiful views. And the square footage was only 884 square feet. It was on 3/4 of an acre, but it was a pretty private 3/4 of an acre. No garage, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, but beautiful frontage, low elevation to the water, nice yard space. Someone maybe could add a garage later on. But that one ended up selling for $430,000. And that one was on the market a little bit longer until it sold. The total days on market for that specific property were 118 days on market. The next one was also on Sand Lake, kind of just on the very opposite side of the lake. And I showed this one as well, so I'm familiar with it. It was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 864 square feet. So small, you know, small little cabin. But again, you're paying a lot of this price for the frontage. It was a really beautiful lot, low elevation to the water. Everybody likes low elevation. So, you know, just the lot alone is probably worth about in the range of $250,000 for that lot on Sand Lake, maybe even a little bit more. And it did have a 2-car garage. It was in good condition. The house itself really needed a lot of renovating inside. It just wasn't in too good of condition. I mean, I think structurally it was fine, but the interior carpets needed to be replaced. The layout was a little tough to work with. The kitchen was very dated, all that kind of stuff, but grandfathered in proximity to the water. So it was like 50 feet from the water instead of 75. Like I said, beautiful level elevation. And that was on kind of an extra large lot, 1.5 acres, but some of that land was behind the road that the house is along. So that you would have had a spot to maybe add another outbuilding or something like that. And that ended up selling for $400,000, which was full price. They listed $399,900 and it did end up selling for $400,000. The next one is on Wendigo Lake. Wendigo is a lake that you don't hear about as often, but it's actually a really nice lake that is in a great location in proximity to Hayward. And I feel like lately there's been a few more properties that have come up on Wendigo. It's a lake where a lot of people have lived on it for a long time. So in this particular case with this property, the buyers really wanted to be on Wendigo Lake specifically because they had other family members who were already on the lake. This was my listing, and then I worked with the seller, not with the buyer. Kind of a unique situation here. There were actually 2 cabins on the property. You can't do that any longer, have kind of 2, I will call them primary structures. They were both small, like 600 to 700 square feet. So between the 2 of them, there was just under 1,200 square feet. It was an old resort. So back in the day, these were resort cabins, and then it got lotted off sometime years ago, and these folks had bought 2 cabins. This had been in their family for years and years, so it was kind of a sad transition for them. But the cabins were in not the best condition. They were older, livable, but definitely needed some work. So this price point, again, kind of reflective of the condition of these cabins. They were also 3-season for the most part, so not really able to be used year round. But again, beautiful sandy frontage, a little bit higher elevation down to the water, and the 2 cabins and like a small storage shed, not really a garage to speak of. So that ended up selling for $385,000. It did sell within a few days of being on the market, and there were a lot of showings, and ended up going under contract almost immediately. In fact, the total days on market for that property was 35 days. So it closed very quickly. And then the last one I'll talk about here was on Bobolink Lane, kind of in a little bit different area. This is out on the Tiger Cap flowage, which is just east of Hayward off of Highway B or off of Highway 77. It's a 1,000+ acre lake, so a little bit larger size lake. This property had the unique advantage of having acreage, privacy, frontage, but the cabin itself needed a lot of work. In fact, my buyers who ended up purchasing it, they are going to do pretty extensive renovations to it, and I know they're going to turn it into something really, really awesome. But it was usable as it is, more of a 3-season than a 4-season, but could be converted to 4-season. The thing here was the frontage was not ideal. It was kind of mucky, weedy. So again, you're always going to be trading something for another when you're looking at property. Like, you know, you have your list of wants and needs, and you're going to end up, price point comes into play. What size of lake are you on? What is the age and condition of the cabin? Are there outbuildings? Is there a garage? Or could you add a garage? Do you have privacy? How much frontage do you have? What's the lakeshore like? You know, all of those things combine to make the price points kind of end up where they are. So this ended up selling for $345,000. We did have to drop the price on it a bit just due to the general condition of the cabin, but the person who bought it has the skills to turn it into something a little bit bigger and also do the repairs that are needed. And it's got gorgeous views and privacy. Privacy is very hard to find on water, and this cabin had that. So I think, you know, the buyers could see the potential of what they could turn it into in the long run. So I was excited for them, and both buyer and seller were happy, and that's what matters in the end. So I hope that this little tour of these 7 homes in the $300,000 to $500,000 range gives you an idea of what you might be able to purchase, kind of the dynamics of the different things you may have to give on or not. But if your budget is higher than that, my next video will be for the $500,000 to $750,000 range. So again, Stone Lake and Hayward areas, that's the primary area that I cover. I am a listing and lakefront expert, so I would love if you would reach out to me if you have a place you're looking to sell and are like, maybe it's in this category or not, or you want to know what it's worth, or if you're looking to buy and this is something that might be of interest to you. If you want to reach out to me, I would appreciate it. I've got my contact info here, and thank you again for joining along. I hope that you found this information to be helpful, and maybe I'll get to see you sometime.